Welcome back to the Pulse. Before we went to the break, we asked which team is Bishu going to end up on, and the community has spoken. Lauren Elise, what did they say?
The community has spoken indeed, and they believe that the Vancouver Canucks will take Bishu.
Now I heard this goal for a new right wing. Perfect fit.
We laugh, guys, but I've actually had a lot of talks with Bishu, and he played a lot of hockey when he was young. He
Goldberg
was
Bishu, man.
He's the enforcer out on the ice. He likes to put people down. Boom. Body check. What's up? That's how he rolls.
Mighty Duck style.
Does he all in a lot?
How do you all in?
Is there an all-in in hockey? Like, I guess
the flying V, man.
Leaves the net.
The flying V. That is the biggest all-in of them all.
Thank you, Emilio Estevez, teaching us a flying V.
All right, the SK Planet Pro League has been underway for some time now, starting all the way back in December. This season of Pro League is scheduled to run for 7 months and is going to feature gameplay from both Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. After 2 months and 2 complete rounds of play, some teams are already establishing themselves as title contenders, but with so much StarCraft still to be played, it is impossible to predict who's going to end up winning the whole thing. Last week we saw the first matches from round of 3 play. Now we're going to take a moment to look at some of the highlights. Kicking it off with KT Rolster versus SK Telecom T1 and Crazy versus Fantasy. Arkanoid got a lot of hate initially as being a poorly designed map, but I've really got to applaud it for the games it's given us. Crazy's game here versus Fantasy was phenomenal, highlighted by multi-pronged aggression and great beep, 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 beep unit control. Crazy's win here gave KT a needed boost in their match versus SKT1. Sadly, a boost was all it would be as SKT Zerg player Saxry rallied hard after losing his initial hatchery to salvage an almost unwinnable 6th game against Action on Akalon Flats. Relentless Zergling Baneling pressure eventually proved too much for Action, and the Roach transition 14 minutes later would end the game. SKT's win couldn't have come at a better time, snapping a brutal 6-game losing streak and putting them on a winning path in the first week of round 3. Moving over to STX Seoul versus EGTL and Deer versus Jadong. EGTL's first match of round 3 would be a tough one. Puma, Revival, and Xenio all dropping their first maps. It was up to Jadong to right the ship. The Tyrant would deliver, as he so often does, with some old-school Roach speedling that would build order counter Deer's slow tech to Stargate. Victory isn't worthy of a smile, Jadong. The only emotion you feel is contempt. There is only one opponent worthy of your wrath, and it is not Deer. Jumping over to JYP versus Hiva, still down 1-3. JYP has to win to keep EGTL's hopes alive. His build of choice? Cannons, of course, and needless to say, it's tough to come back after a failed cannon rush. JYP had little choice but to give Hiva lots of time to prepare for the end game, and in Wings of Liberty PvZ, more time means more Broodlords. In this case, lots of them. Despite JYP's best efforts, Hiva's victory via Broodlord was as inevitable as EGTL's defeat at the hands of STX Seoul. Final score, 4-1. CJ Intis versus Samsung Khan, and the theme would be a simple one, Roro and Roaches. Early game, Roach aggression created a nice lead for Roro in his game versus Sky High, and the Samsung Zerd did an excellent job of pushing his advantage all game long. Multi-pronged attacks bought time for the inevitable Hive-Tech transitions from Broodlords to Ultras and back again. Sky High just wasn't able to keep up. CJ would fight back, though, with hero and effort earning wins and evening up the series scores at 3-3, forcing the ace match. Once again, Roro would answer the call, and his play was once more characterized by early game aggression that segued into multi-pronged Roach play and ultimately overwhelming numbers. 2 wins for Roro and a 4-3 victory for Samsung Khan in one of the most exciting matches of the week. 8th team versus Woongjin would kick off with True versus Light, and it would be taking place on Neo Arkanoid, a map that again is proving to be phenomenal for Zerg versus Terran. Once again, Neo Arkanoid delivered a slow starting but ultimately very exciting game characterized by big economies and tons of action around the map. True's Mutalisk Zergling Baneling play kept Light spread out across the map, but Light's army looked absolutely unkillable for much of the game. In the end, Prue's play proved too scrappy and too resilient, and eventually Light ran out of steam and was forced to concede, putting teammate up 1-0 in the series. They would pick up 2 more wins from Terminator and Cure, and Woongjin would answer with both Free and Shy, a.k.a. SOS, picking up a couple of wins. But ultimately, the match came down to a ZVZ on Caldeum between Savage and Zero. Savage lived up to his namesake with constant counterattacks and beautiful macro, narrowly holding each of Zero's attacks while always managing to inflict some damage back at home to his opponent's economy. Hydras can't run away, and neither can Infestors. Savage cleans up his opponent's army, and in doing so, the series, Team 8 beats the Wongjin Stars 4-2. Week 2 Pro League gameplay is already underway, and some of the most exciting games of the tournament took place last night. If you haven't seen Effort vs. Fantasy on Entombed Valley, go find it, go watch it. Easily one of the best games of StarCraft 2 that I have ever seen, and I'll be sure to bring you guys those highlights next week. Pro League has been so much fun. I'm also really enjoying Fantasy Pro League on Team Liquid. I hope
Told you.
I hope everybody at home is taking part in that as well. How have you guys been enjoying the Kespa contribution to StarCraft broadcast?
I couldn't enjoy more. I couldn't agree more, Ben. I've been really enjoying it as well, and I really love that you bring up Fantasy Pro League, because this is actually the first time I started playing. Like, it might be a little bit weird if you've never played it. It might be one of the things like, yeah, I hear people talk about, but I'm not sure if I should get into that. But seriously, trust me, guys. The next time you can sign up for Fantasy Pro League, just do it on Team Liquid. It is so much fun. It makes following the game so much more fun. And guys, my all-star performer is on my anti-team.
I think this last week, Roro was probably the all-star performer of all-star performers.
So you got like 8 points in like a week or something.
So many big wins.
I
Dan,
love listening to the Korean casters, especially since I'm learning Korean. It kind of helps, and I got to learn that they use the onomatopoeia word for beep, the beep, 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 beep. That's really neat, but the amount of passion those commentators have is just through the roof. You can feel it for every game.
It is so much fun. It really is.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying Pro League. I really enjoy, again, like I think Ben pointed out, that even though some of their map making might not make sense, it produces really cool games, and they're really, I mean, all they're trying to do is also make a real broadcast over time, because you remember they're on Spot TV, they're on what's the weekend broadcast that they usually go on? Regardless of what happens, they're at the OGN offices, obviously. Okay, so they're at OGN and they're on Spot TV. But they also want longer games, because whenever I watch a Brood War game, I would always be like, man, this game lasts forever. Like, man, this game goes not only Brood War slow, but it's only be like 25 minutes. They want to fill that time. They have good games. They have quality games. Yeah, one of my favorites was Alone playing Zerg versus Terran on Neo Arkanoid, and you showed another one of that. I think it's really cool to see some of those games. I really encourage people to go check out those maps.
Yeah, Neo Arkanoid, I was so hateful on, I guess, Arkanoid when it first came out. Neo Arkanoid is not much different. It just means the rocks break a little bit faster. Right? That's the only change. There's also Reapers go down instead of going up on Neo Arkanoid.
Yeah, there's some pathing changes with some of the units.
But regardless of all of that, it has given such incredible games. Like, the start and the build-up is a little bit slower, but then it just goes crazy. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Guys, if you want to follow the Pro League and you haven't been able to catch the live broadcast, they are on YouTube, youtube.com/esportstv. Is where you want to go to watch that.
What was that PvZ that we watched, guys? With that Protoss who just kept hanging in there against that Broodlord army on that map?
Oh, Argo. Yeah, Argo. Jaehoon, he's really good, man. I was like telling you. And then I told Kev to pick up Jaehoon. And who is your best performer on your fantasy league?
Yes, well, outside of the guy on my anti-team, it's Argo.
I got to say, man, I'm a little bit sad. I was a huge fan of Hitman after casting his one game that he's played in Pro League. I was like, man, this guy's so good. So I made him the captain of my Fantasy Pro League team, and he hasn't actually played a match yet. So
and he will not play on that.
He's yielded me a whopping 0 points. I'm very sad about that.
No, but it is so much fun, man. I really think it's awesome. Not only do we have the GSL 4 evenings in a row right now, we can almost watch always Pro League as well.
It's great, man. And the level of play is so high. And I think these Kespa guys do have a different style. I don't know if it's because of the maps or what, but they do tend to do these crazy macro things.
Yeah, there's like some crazy strategies. Like one time I was watching Bifrost just last round. I think it was like Tasia was playing against a Protoss, and like the Protoss would go like one gate, expand into Double Forge, into Robo, into Twilight, and he's all doing this off one gate. It's like you can never get away with this. Like if you were playing on like Entombed Valley.
Bit by bit would not allow that. So.
But that's what I was talking about with the extremes. I know this is like 2 episodes ago, but when you have that format, the extremes just get so gigantic. Like you take in so many more assumptions. And that's what the Kespa players always did in Brood War. They just said, I am not expecting a timing before this time. So be the most optimal I possibly could. Play like you're doing no rush 20 minutes and then go from there. What's the most optimal way to do that?
That's what Neo Arkanoid is, man.
It's
like
No rush 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And make sure to watch tonight again, of course, guys, as EGGL is playing.
That's right. That's right. They do come out tonight.
Stefano against Terminator, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, snap.
Terminator's on my anti-team.
Oh,
Go Stefano! Yes! Please!
I got J-Dong. And J-Dong has been doing okay for me. At least he's been grabbing some wins.
Perhaps a less high-profile news story. The Intel Extreme Masters Global Challenge in Sao Paulo, Brazil took place about a week ago. Or I guess, well, last week.
weekend.
4 or 5
Last
days
week.
ago.
There wasn't a big StarCraft tournament there, but there were Heart of the Swarm show matches.
Yep.
Some of them were absolutely phenomenal. Kev, I know you were watching them pretty closely. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that whole process.
Exactly, Ben. IEM wouldn't be IEM if there wasn't at least some StarCraft action. Of course, last year we did have a StarCraft 2 tournament in Brazil, and even though I'd say it was remotely successful, you guys remember the one that Violet won where Supernova was the runner?
Obrigado, Brazil!
Yeah, I think it was fun, but of course hosting a StarCraft 2 tournament in Brazil does bring on some problems, as the players are going to have to play on the North American server from Brazil. Our internet was quite good last year, but still it's come issues, and not to mention how long it takes for Korean players to come to Brazil. Their flights are insane, so I guess that ESL just thought this year we're going to do it slower. We're just going to host a couple of show matches. They invited 4 players, Grubby's, Wydra, of course, how can you ever have show matches without Wydra? Stralok and Killer were in Brazil, and I decided to grab a couple of moments just of day 1 gameplay, just to show you guys some of the cool stuff that they have been showing us in Heart of the Swarm, as we of course like to show you guys as much Heart of the Swarm as possible. Well guys, this is something that we do remember from the NASL finals. Wydra using oracles to kill tons of workers in his first match against Stralok. The Oracle going to town on the SCVs does catch a Widowmine there, but overall Wydra played a really solid first game. Shows that the Oracles are not just good against Zerg, but also against Terran, and after that just pushed through with a little bit of Mothership Core. Wydra took the first game of this series pretty convincingly, and I feel that Strelok wasn't really aware yet that he was playing Heart of the Swarm. But after losing all his SCVs, he sure was. So in game 2 he stepped it up. Guys, this is something we do know. Hellbat drop, certainly with that one medevac, oh so powerful. Normally you would say like, 3 Stalkers, that might be okay. No guys, that's not okay. Run little Stalker, run. Strelok kept harassing, so this game is starting to look quite okay, even though Wydra was doing a reasonable job saving as many probes as possible. Strelok was dealing the damage. Here we see one of those cool things of Heart of the Swarm as well, guys. Blink Stalker up the ramp, killing a couple of SCVs and recalling out. Those are just one of the many cool things that we are going to see. But look at this mech army, and look at what Wydra did there. Sniping that Zealot, that was something that would be also important later on. This fight, Strelok probably felt like, hey, I'm actually crushing this Protoss army, and well, I'm still crushing it. So this isn't looking all too good, but Wydra wouldn't be Wydra if he didn't have special tactics, and that would of course be the Void Ray, sniping those Vikings before the new Void Ray being also effective. Certainly once charge is activated, you melt toys like no problem. And Wydra took the Furries 2 to nothing. And guys, for the first time we saw resume from replay as well, as Strelok and Grubby had a disconnect. They just decided to rehost the game and continue the game. So I think that's super awesome. Was not on purpose that they showed that future, but it is nice to see that everything works properly. We saw Grubby as well, just like Wydra did, playing a lot around with the Stargate. Stargate tech also popular in Heart of the Swarm right now, basically in every matchup, in PvP, in PvZ, and also in PvT. But despite Grubby dealing quite some damage with his Phoenixes, he was not able to crush his mech army from Strelok, as Strelok made a very good composition of Thors, of tanks, and a couple of Battle Hellions. And in the end, the carriers did not show up in time, even though we did see Time Warp being used. I got a couple of cool clips of that later on as well. Overall, Grubby was not able to get it in this game, but in the second game, Grubby was a lot better prepared. These were 2 maxed out armies, by the way, guys, and the way that Grubby wins this fight, I think, is super impressive. As the Immortals get in range of all the tanks, he dropped a couple of good storms, cleared up this big mech army, so you don't have to play air. And later on, he did add a couple of Tempests in the mix, which I think was cool to see as well. And remember, guys, this is just all from day 1. There was day 2 action as well. The last game of Grubby Strelok was kind of ironic, as a sort of little base trade went on, as Grubby was being aggressive with Mothership Core and Time Warp. Strelok on the other hand was dropping Hellbats, but in the end Grubby was able to stabilize a little bit better. And he was able to take out Strelok in this series as he picked off the Hellbats one by one. Overall, these games were exciting. This is something, guys, that I think we're going to see a lot in Heart of the Swarm. Gateway pushes with Mothership Core. The combination of Time Warp and Force Field, I think, can be very, very powerful. And Grubby displayed it to us in game number 1 against Killer. Even though he does get pushed back here a little bit, he killed so many workers by now that he is able to wrap up this game. And I thought this was a very cool game. This is something that I'm sure we're going to see more often. Ben, I'm sure that this makes you happy. Roach Hydra can still work, even though there are 6, 7, 8 charged vote rays on the other side of the map. So this game was kind of bizarre. Killer showed us that Roach Hydra is better than it was in Wings of Liberty. And even though Grubby was putting up a pretty good fight here, at the end of the day, these void rays were starting to fall one by one as Hydras are still pretty good, even when the void rays are charged. Slowly but steady, Killer was able to clear up the void rays in his main base and able to take this game. So it was going to a deciding game number 3. As soon as Grubby was going to GG out after losing all those void rays. And that was a really sick game. I enjoyed this game a lot. I recommend everyone to check out the Twitch VODs. The new Mutalisk, of course, quicker regeneration, are slightly quicker in acceleration as well. Of course, the new Phoenix are still good against Mutas, but still, Killer showed us you can do cool stuff with it. Grubby was dealing reasonably well, I'd say, with the Mutalisk, but overall Killer had a lot of map control. He was effective with those Mutalisk. He would sacrifice them later on, but it was just overall a really cool game where you could even see the new Fungal being casted pretty effectively a couple of times. Overall, I just really enjoyed this game, as Killer was just playing extremely well, playing a sort of a fresh style of Zerg, even though of course Mutas are not all that fresh anymore. The way that he made it work, the way that he was moving his units across the map, and also the way that Grubby was defending, I think was excellent. After he finally lost all the Mutas, he decided it was time for the Ultralisk switch. And guys, the Ultralisk were wondering, what's tickling me? These storms are, guys, these storms. As these Ultras were just kind of like streaming through everything, killing Immortals, killing High Templars, dancing in storms. It was raining storms when they did about it, these Ultras, as eventually Killer was able to win this game, which was gonna wrap up day number 1. So this was all day 1 action. In day 2 the action just continued, where Hydra defeated Grubby actually 2-0. Grubby, no wait, that's yes, no, that is correct. I was wondering what am I talking about now. Hydra defeated Grubby 2-0 in a PvP. Games were kind of cool, had Tempest as well. The other result, Killer defeated Hydra 2-0. That was, I think, pretty surprising. And then Strelok came out of nothing and defeated Killer. So overall, you could say that both Hydra and Strelok won the show matches.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone won. But yeah, that wraps up at least the regular season of IEM, which of course gives us the opportunity to look forward. And that is of course the global, the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Finals, which will take place as always in Hanover at the start of next month. This is the participant list. Of course, this has nothing to do with Sao Paulo, but this is something I want to talk about. Guys, I think this is an amazing player list, and I'm super excited for Hanover.
Yeah, Hanover's going to be fantastic, man. A lot of great players. Those are not the groups.
Those are not the
that
groups.
we just saw. That's just the player list. If they were the groups,
in
then
one group.
Kev's already joked about how happy Violet would have been.
Violet tweeted, this is my group, so excited for IEM. I was like, yeah, we see what you did there, Violet.
Every German in Violet.
Kaz is like, no.
Yeah, Kaz already said he's not able to get a visa for this tournament. Then I said, but Kaz, you have so much time. No. But these are not the groups. Oh, I can come.
They will be doing group selection at a later date, and I'm sure the Intel Extreme Masters Grand Finals in Hanover are going to be a big blast.
Yeah. What I think is worth mentioning, Ben, is that they not officially announced yet whether it is going to be Heart of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty. Of course, all the regular stops have been in Wings, but I would not be super surprised if they just say like, hey, first Heart of the Swarm tournament.
That's a very Carmack thing to do, man. Like, he loves being first to market, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him try to run HOTS at Hanover. Still kind of a toss-up.
How would you feel about it? How would you guys feel about that?
I would be fine with it. I would be completely fine with it.
I mean, the beta's been accessible to so many people by that time now. I mean,
yeah, but don't you guys feel that like all the players that qualified in Wings of Liberty tournaments?
Yeah, that does make it a toss-up though. So
yeah,
the change from like like Warcraft 3 to StarCraft 2 is much different from StarCraft 2 to Heart of the Swarm. I feel like people who will be the best. It's just that I think there's people who are good at Heart of the Swarm that haven't proven themselves yet, and that's where like things like IPL can really show. But I do think the top will still be the top in Heart of the Swarm.
I mean, at the end of the day, Heart of the Swarm is just a big patch for StarCraft. So if a patch hits, you play on the new patch.
I mean, it is a really big patch.
There's more
expansion patch.
Yeah, it's an expansion. And you know what? I would argue that if we saw this list and we knew it was Heart of the Swarm, Like players like Idris should be up there.
Yeah.
You know, really, really like top pro gamers that have only been playing Heart of the Swarm should be up there. I can't think of any right now.
It's a scenario where the audience will go
think
either way. I don't think they'll make a fit if it's Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm. We'll be excited for it.
We would like to know who you guys predict to win the Intel Extreme Masters Grand Finals in Hanover, Germany. And we can bring that graphic up one more time. Lauren Elise, what are we asking the fine folks?
Well, it's pretty upfront. You guys saw all the players that are going to play at IEM. Who do you think is going to win? Tweet your answer to @NASLTV, #ThePulse, and I think we can pretty much sum it up after that and see what you guys think.
Yeah, we'll share some of your tweets. We're going to take a very short break. When we get back, we're going to be recapping Code S with the Frodan. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere. This is The Pulse.